Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening. When we left off yesterday, we had our monster, and things were not looking good for the kingdom of Denmark. Let's find out what happens. So Grendel ruled in defiance of right, one against all, until the greatest house in the world stood empty, a deserted wallstead. For 12 winters, seasons of woe, the Lord of the Shieldings suffered under his load of sorrow. And so, before long, the news was known over the whole world. Sad lays were sung about the beset king, the vicious raids of Grendel, his long and unrelenting feud, nothing but war, how he would never parley or make peace with any Dane, nor stop his death-dealing, nor pay the death price. No counselor could ever expect fair reparation for those rabid hands. All were endangered, young and old, were hunted down by that dark death shadow who lurked and swooped in the long nights on the misty moors. Nobody knows where these reavers from hell roam on their errands. Oh, plural. Pay attention to that. Is there more than one Grendel? So Grendel waged his lonely war, inflicting constant cruelties on the people, atrocious hurt. He took over Heorot, haunted the glittering hall after dark. But the throne itself, the treasure seat, he was kept from approaching. He was the Lord's outcast. Grendel is not allowed to touch the throne of the king because the throne of the king is protected by God. These were hard times, heartbreaking, for the prince of the Shieldings. Powerful counselors, the highest in the land, would lend advice, plotting how best the bold defenders might resist and beat off sudden attacks. Sometimes at pagan shrines they vowed offering to idols, swore oaths that the killer of souls might come to their aid and save the people. That was their way, their heathenship hope. Deep in their hearts they remembered hell. The Almighty Judge, that's God, of good deeds and bad, the Lord God, head of the heavens and high king of the world, was unknown to them. Oh, cursed is he who in time of trouble had to thrust his soul in the fire's embrace, forfeiting help. He has nowhere to turn, but blessed is he who after death can approach the Lord and find friendship in the Father's embrace. So some of Hrothgar's followers, maybe advisors, went back to their pagan belief system and started praying to pagan gods as a solution to the Grendel problem. But the narrator of this story is firmly against that. So that troubled time continued, woe that never stopped, steady affliction for Halfdane's son. Too hard an ordeal. There was panic after dark. People endured raids in the night, riven by terror. When he heard about Grendel, Hygelac-Thane is Beowulf, just not named yet, was on home ground, over in Geatland. That's in Sweden. There was no one else like him alive. In his day he was the mightiest man on earth, high-born and powerful. He ordered a boat that would ply the waves. He announced his plan to sail the Swan's roads and search out that king, the famous prince who needed defenders. Nobody tried to keep him from going. No elder denied him, dear as he was to them. Instead, they inspected omens and spurred his ambition to go, whilst he moved about like the leader he was, enlisting men, the world he could find. With 14 others, the warrior boarded the boat as captain, a canny pilot along coast and currents. Time went by. The boat was on water, in close under the cliffs. Men climbed eagerly up the gangplank. Sand churned in surf, shining war gear in the vessel's hold, then heaved out, away with a will in their wood-wreathed ship. Over the waves, with the wind behind her, and foam at her neck, she flew like a bird, until her curved prow had covered the distance, and in the following day, at the due hour, those seafarers sighted land. Sunlit cliffs, sheer crags, and looming headlands, the landfall they sought. It was the end of their voyage, and the Geats vaulted over the side onto the sand and moored their ship. There was a clash of mail and a thresh of gear. They thanked God for that easy crossing on a calm sea. When the watchmen on the wall, the shieldings lookout, whose job it was to guard the sea cliffs, saw shields glittering on the gangplank and battle equipment being unloaded, he had to find out who and what the arrivals were. So he rode to the shore, this horseman of Hrothgar, and challenged them in formal terms, flourishing his spear. All right, so the Geats, including Beowulf, have arrived in Denmark. So the Coast Guard has to go and find out what they're doing. So this is the Coast Guard speaking. What kind of men are you who arrive rigged out for combat in coats of mail, sailing here over the sea lanes in your steep-hulled boat? I have been stationed as lookout on this coast for a long time. My job is to watch the waves for raiders and danger to the Danish shore. Never before has a force under arms disembarked so openly, not bothering to ask if the sentries allowed them safe passage or the clan had consented. Nor have I seen a mightier man-at-arms on this earth. He's looking at Beowulf. Than the one standing there. Unless I am mistaken, he is truly noble. This is no mere hanger-on in a hero's armor. So now, before you fare inland as interlopers, I have to be informed about who you are and where you hail from. Outsiders from across the water. I say it again, the sooner you tell where you came from and why, the better. Okay, all of that. Notice when you're reading an epic poem and somebody talks, they don't just say, hey, who are you guys? He said what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 lines to say, hey, who are you guys? What are y'all doing here? And the leader of the troop unlocked his word hoard. That is a good kidding. Word hoard. That means he's about to talk just as much as the Coast Guard did. The distinguished one delivered his answer. We belong by birth to the Geat people, and owe allegiance to Lord Higelac. In my day, my father was a famous man, a noble warrior named Ectheo. He outlasted many a long winter and went on his way. All over the world, wise men in council continue to remember him. We come in good faith to find your lord and nation's shield, the son of Halfdane. Give us the right to advise and direction. We have arrived here on a great errand, to the lord of the Danes, and I believe, therefore, there should be nothing hidden or withheld between us. So tell us if what we have heard is true about this threat, whatever it is, this danger abroad in the dark nights, this corpse-maker, mongering death in the Shieldings' country. I come to proffer my wholehearted help and counsel. I can show the wise Hrothgar a way to defeat his enemy and find respite, if any respite is to reach him ever. I can calm the turmoil and terror in his mind. Otherwise, he must endure woes and live with grief for as long as his hall stands at the horizon on its high ground. He still hasn't said his name. Nobody has said the word Beowulf yet. Undaunted, sitting astride his horse, the Coast Guard answered, Anyone with gumption and a sharp mind will take the measure of two things, what's said and what's done. I believe what you have told me, that you are a troop loyal to our king. So come ahead with your arms and your gear, and I will guide you. What's more, I'll order my own comrades on their word of honor to watch your boat down there on the strand. Keep her safe, in her fresh tar, until the time comes for her curved prow to preen on the waves and bear this hero back to Geatland. May one so valiant and venturesome come unharmed through the clash of battle. So they went on their way. The ship rode the water, broad-beamed, bound by its hawser, and anchored fast. Boar shapes flashed above the cheek guards, the brightly forged work of goldsmiths, watching over those stern-faced men. So they have boar symbols, shaped on their helmets. All right. They marched in step, hurrying on till the timbered hall rose before them, radiant with gold. Nobody on earth knew of another building like it. Majesty lodged there, and its light shone over many lands. So their gallant escort guided them to that dazzling stronghold, and indicated the shortest way to it. Then the noble warrior wheeled on his horse, and spoke these words. It is time for me to go. May the Almighty Father keep you, and in his kindness watch over your exploits. I am away to the sea, back on alert against enemy raiders. It was a paved track, a path that kept them in marching order. Their mail shirts glinted, hard and hard-linked. The high-gloss iron of their armor rang. So they duly arrived in the grim war-graith and gear at the hall, and weary from the sea, stacked wide shields of the roughest hardwood against the wall. Then collapsed on the benches, battle dress and weapons clashed. They collected their spears in a seafarer's stook, a stand of grayish tapering ash, and the troops themselves were as good as their weapons. Then a proud warrior questioned the men concerning their origins. Where do you come from, carrying these decorated shields and shirts of mail, these cheek-hinged helmets and javelins? I am Hrothgar's herald and officer. I have never seen so impressive or large an assembly of strangers. Stoutness of heart, bravery, not banishment, must have brought you to Hrothgar. The man whose name was known for courage, the Geat leader, resolute in his helmet, answered in return. We are retainers from Hygelac band. Beowulf is my name. Papa! Finally. If your lord and master, the most renowned son of Halfdane, will hear me out and graciously allow me to greet him in person, I am ready and willing to report my errand. Wulfgar replied, a Wendel chief, renowned as a warrior, well known for his wisdom and the temper of his mind. I will take this message, in accordance with your wish, to our noble king, our dear lord, friend of the Danes, the giver of rings. I will go and ask him about your coming here, then hurry back with whatever reply it pleases him to give. With that, he turned to where Hrothgar sat. Like, Hrothgar was there the whole time, like, listening? Alright, that's funny. An old man among retainers, the valiant follower stood foursquare in front of his king. He knew the courtesies. Wulfgar addressed his dear lord. People from Geatland have put ashore. They have sailed far from the wide sea. They call the chief in charge of their band by the name of Beowulf. They beg, my lord, an audience with you, exchange of words and formal greeting. Most gracious Hrothgar, do not refuse them, but grant them a reply. From their arms and appointment they appear well born and worthy of respect, especially the one who has led them this far. He is formidable indeed. So we don't have a physical description of Beowulf yet, but he seems to be outstanding. Like, he's standing amongst Viking warriors, and he still kind of stands out as impressive. Hrothgar, protector of Shieldings, replied, I used to know him when I was a young boy. His father before him was called Ecgtheow. Hrethel the Greek gave Ecgtheow his daughter in marriage. This man is their son, here to follow up an old friendship. A crew of seamen who sailed for me once with a gift cargo across to Geatland returned with marvelous tales about him. A thane, they declared, with the strength of 30 in the grip of each hand. Now holy God has, in his goodness, guided him here to the West Danes to defend us from Grendel. This is my hope, and for this heroism I will recompense him with a rich treasure. Go immediately, bid him and the Geats he has his attendants to assemble and enter. Say, moreover, when you speak to him, that they are welcome in Denmark. I'm going to stop there because it's almost 15 minutes, and I'm giving y'all an assignment. This reading has inspired me. I want you guys to introduce yourselves in 10 lines or more of epic language. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to write this up so that y'all know what to do. Bye. We're at line 388.